Good afternoon. It is my honor to welcome you all to this one-of-a-kind webinar organized by BIRLA Vidya Niketan. The topic today is the relationship between tourism, financial development, and economic growth in India. And what a better day to talk about this agenda, as in the recently presented budget, our Honorable Finance Minister, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman, has made special allocations for the travel and tourism industry, making today's topic much more relevant with emphasis on this aspect. And to enlighten us in this session, we have with us a professional connoisseur of the field, Mrs. Rashmi Charan, who possesses a rich experience of over 15 years in the travel and tourism industry, having trained over 5,000 students and even professionals. To add to that, she has worked with famous companies like Amadeus India, Kuoni Academy, etc. And for the past few years, she has been working as a freelancer with institutes like the Skylark Institute of Travel and the YMCA. Now, without further ado, I invite Mrs. Charan to address the students.
Thank you so much, Agam. It was a very heartwarming introduction that you gave of me. Thank you. Well, to begin today's session, a very good afternoon to everybody present over here. And before I touch upon the topic, which is so close to my heart, I would like to extend a note of appreciation and thanks to BIRLA Vidya Niketan, to the principal ma'am, to the lovely teachers who are present here, and to the wonderful students who have joined me in this session. So thanks to each one of you to invite me to discuss something which has been so close to my heart, and also now getting a very big you can say a note of appreciation by everyone, as the tourism industry is coming back to normal after a big hit by the pandemic. So yes, there is definitely a big relationship that exists between the tourism industry, and it also impacts the financial development and growth of a country like India, a country where we have so many states and union territories. The resources are unlimited. So before I actually begin with my presentation today, I would want my students, the millennial students, as I call them, to put themselves in the, you can say, in the foot of a tourist, right? And I'll just take you over to some tourist spots so that you can now get into the, in that particular mode of discussing tourism and knowing more about it. So I'll just start with my video. Just give me a moment. All right. So this is a place in India itself. The place over here is Sneh Botanical Garden. And you can see it is located in the beautiful city of Surat in the state of Gujarat, right? So I want you to envisage yourself as a tourist who is having a good time over here, who has visited this place for the first time, making a first impression, seeing everything which is going around, and you will be able to see that how impeccable and how beautifully things have been kept. It is not a place where you can just get inside and want to come outside. It's a place like Swaminarayan Temple, where you would want to go over and over again to see the tranquility of the place, to see the spiritualness of the place, to visit it, to know more about it, to come back and tell the same to your friends, your relatives. A place like the Dutch gardens, where things have been kept in such a way that it looks like it was just yesterday that, you know, a lot of things happened over here, and tourists have started to storm the place. They are seeing new things, visualizing things, enjoying it. And wherever you pay for entering into a particular tourist destination, you feel that you are now getting the value for money. Because if you don't get the value for money, you definitely would not want to go back to their place again. So places like even a museum, for example, a Sardar Patel museum, which is so impeccably kept, the record of history has been very accurate. It has been placed in a way that even if you go there as a student, you come to know of so much of knowledge which can be gained from it. So we can't just say a tourist spot is something which will be very fancy. A tourist spot can be something which could be full of knowledge, right? So places like recreation obviously always attract you, like the Gopi Lake, that is again in Surat. If you see, it has been kept at a very, very hygienic level where people visit. There are norms that you have to follow. The littering is not allowed, where things will be able to be managed in such a way that people would want to talk about it on their way back home and recommend it to other people, making others also travel to the same destination, right? So all these tourist spots, like I have managed to put them over here, the Surat Fort, which is one of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites, has been kept in such a way that it is now preserved for the future generations, and they are able to enjoy the rich cultural heritage that we've been carrying all along. The inside and the outside have been kept in a very, very stable manner. That is why many sites under UNESCO World Heritage Sites like these forts are a very, very good place of attraction, right? The Sarnath Nature Park, obviously, it is a park where you have home to many species, right? And many endangered animals as well. As you would see, there are a lot of people who work day and night to make sure that all these habitats are preserved. There is no harm that is made to these particular animals who are now made to stay there, right? The science center, where you can gain a lot of knowledge about how the future would be, what new things you can learn. So they also have the potential of becoming a tourist spot for the future generations. It probably can just trigger something in your mind, and it would make you make you adopt a particular line which you have not even thought of till now. So as my millennial tourists, I would definitely want you to look at various tourist places, not only from the point of view of recreation or having a good time, but also from the point of view of gaining knowledge, of imbibing the things that they are now telling you, which you would carry for generations to follow. Right? So I hope that you have gone into the mood of being a tourist and enjoying the various aspects that we would be highlighting in the forthcoming presentation also that I would be sharing with you. So it was just a very small part of tourism. The tourism encompasses a bigger umbrella of people involved in it, of all those things that will be of potential use to everybody and result in the growth of a country like India. So please allow me to share a presentation that I have made for all of you. All right. So as the topic for today says that, yes, tourism has a definite relationship with the financial development of a country. Why? Because there is a lot of economic growth that happens within it. And no doubt that a country which is sound economically will have a definitely sound tourism industry, right? So the video that I just played for you will actually shows maybe less than 1% of the potential tourist places that can be explored with a lot of curiosity mixed with an equal proportion of enthusiasm, right? So India is a rich country, as we say, and it encompasses like 29 states and 7 union territories, like I mentioned, and much, much many more resources. And sky is the limit, let me tell you, that if we come to tap the economic benefits of the country, then through tourism industry alone, which is the 4th largest industry in the world, where the results would be definitely tremendous, right? I would not dive into much of a data and statistics for you, because it's a fun-loving industry as well. But yes, there are certain categories which I would like to tell you that India has been a part of and has been rising in ranks just because it has evolved as an industry, and it has adapted itself to the new scenarios and the new norms that have been laid down in front of us in the past 2 years. So tourism industry and the economic growth of an industry, yes, will eventually lead to the financial development. And India is one of the largest markets that cater to travel and tourism industry, right? So it's not a very open realization that travel and tourism industry lays out two kinds of, it categorizes basically 2 kinds of job opportunities in India, which I would be discussing in my forthcoming presentations. But yes, as it has risen up in its ranks, we can say that it actually ranked 34 in the travel and tourism competitive report in 2020 in the World Economic Forum. And it contributes to approximately 4.7% of the total GDP, that is the gross domestic product, and places itself at a whooping 10th place. So it's something we can be definitely proud bearers of as future generations for you as well. Right? So like I was talking about, the employment generators in India, yes, tourism industry can take a feather in its cap and say that it provides employment to almost 3 crore people around, and it accounts for almost 7.3% of the total jobs till the year 2020. And also despite the pandemic, in the year 2020, the international visitors actually had spent like rupees around 8 billion in international tourism and around 7 billion rupees in domestic tourism. So looking at the figures, I definitely would not want to remember that. But yes, one thing that I have realized is when we, just like we don't stop the crave for having new cuisines and having good food, we never stop the crave to travel, visit new places, and enjoy new cities, right? So just like we don't stop to eat, we don't stop to travel. It's just as simple as that. You can be restrained in your houses for a year, for months, but yes, there would be a time in which you would want to come out, explore, experience, and eventually unknowingly touch the livelihoods of so many people that you would not even remember. So yes, the technical aspect of tourism does give us an insight of the direct and the indirect vendors that we deal with. As we start to travel, as a layman, I can say, you know that there are hotels, there are very fancy hotels, 5 stars, 3 stars. We have travel agencies, tour operator companies, we have restaurants, we have airlines, and we come in direct contact with all of them. We see them, we get their products, we feel them, we talk to them, and everything happens face to face. Where everything happens face to face, definitely we feel that they are the ones who are making things happen for us, and we are obviously very grateful to them. But the fact of the matter is that there are more indirect people who are involved in that particular product to make sure that you finally have a good time when you travel to a particular place. So if you, let's say, get into a hotel and you're checking in, you are getting the best of the services from the concierge, you are getting the best of the food from the chefs, and you are getting impeccable services to see the places around, for sightseeing, for shopping. Everything is in place and you are getting your hands onto them, and you are obviously having a good time understanding that things are so organized and so well planned. So it is basically those people who are behind the scenes, who are working, who are getting affected by your travel and having a share in the investment that you have made to make your travel a pleasant one, right? Doesn't it give a good feeling that, it's like you can say it's a give and take process. You are giving something and gaining something, but you don't even know that how many people are getting benefited out of it. So yes, indirect employment constitutes a big chunk in travel and tourism industry. So from the time you enter into a city, step into it, you are actually touching the lives of all those people who are benefiting out of your travel. So yes, that's why you don't stop to travel. So so technically, the technical language that we call it, as far as the tourism is concerned, for a particular person who's indirectly involved in it, we call it the multiplier effect of tourism, right? So we know that multiplication is a simple process in which when you have two digits and you multiply them, they become larger. So 2 into 2 becomes 4. So over here, the same thing is actually demonstrated. So once you start to travel as a single person, there is a multiplier effect of touching various vendors, various sources, and it supports those people who are dependent on tourism for their earnings, only on tourism. Like, for example, in India as well, if I take an example of, so the states like Goa, of Daman and Diu, they are so remotely located. The Lakshadweep Islands, they're so remotely located that many of them don't even have those many avenues to experience their skills. The only skill that they have is handling a tourist. So when they handle a tourist to the best of their knowledge, because they are the localites over there and they can share information which probably no one else can, yes, the multiplier effect of tourism does come into the picture, right? And this would become even more clearer when you have a look at this. So place yourself again in the shoes of a tourist, and you would see that when you travel, how the entire circle goes and how many vendors, how many things you touch. You touch the means of transport. The moment you land at a particular city, you want to go for meetings and conventions, you want to go for sports, you want to visit a museum, you want to go for entertainment. And meetings and conventions, I would definitely like to mention that it has become one of the major types of tourism which has just taken its space, which we call very fondly as MICE tourism, MICE, meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions. So a lot of hotels have now developed infrastructure to cater to tourists who come for meetings and conventions. And trust me, big corporate houses have made it a practice to make MICE tourism as a part of their induction process, where they take employees to a destination, they do their daily routine work during the day, and in the evening, you have all the time at leisure to spend, and you are able to move around in the city, and unknowingly you again invest in those particular activities where you probably thought that you are not contributing at all. So it becomes a pleasant surprise when you come to know that you went actually for something which was official, but you turned out doing something that was not so official, right? So all those things will have a big impact on a traveler, and the impact over here will multiply. It will multiply in the sense that as you touch various places when you go to a destination, all those people will become a part of your journey. and that journey will become a memorable one for you. And yes, it will become beneficial to those people as well. Well, yes, we cannot work in isolation. Tourism industry cannot stand by itself unless there are efforts by the Ministry of Tourism, which takes out schemes from time to time to make sure that we attract as many number of foreign tourists into India as domestic tourism. Well, the last 2 years have definitely made us go in retrospect that we have the opportunity to see the places, to explore the places in our own country, which we probably were never aware about. So those people who have always been taking international travel, and I'm sorry to say that a lot of times I've been a part of that, I've been an international traveler, but I guess the time has come to spend time in your own country and have that the taste of the domestic tourism, which will give us a different feel altogether. So domestic tourism has definitely picked up, and I'm sure the social media has made it very clear that people definitely want to move around in their own country as well. So schemes like Swadesh Darshan and Prasad schemes have been launched by Ministry of India, right? So I'll just tell you a little about the Swadesh Darshan, not getting into too much of a detail. It's a theme-based tourist program in which they have developed circuits, like, for example, for Northeast India, then for the Himalayan circuit, and so on, in which a tourist has a specific itinerary to follow, and they can visit those places in a very logical order. They don't have to do much about it. The Prasad scheme, obviously, is a very good one again. It's a national mission on pilgrimage rejuvenation and spiritual augmentation drive, right? Again, under the Ministry of Tourism. And we know that yoga has a very big part to play in today's world, not just for the Indians, but also for people outside the country. So spirituality has become the name of the game today. So a lot of foreign tourists come to India for spiritual benefits, and also when foreigners come into India, yes, we definitely get a lot of foreign exchange, and it also results in the development of a country, and we grow as a country together. Right. So yes, there has been challenges in the past 2 years. I have been witness to more challenges in my 20 years of career in travel and tourism industry. Well, yes, I can say the last 2 years have been a little more challenging than the ones that have been I have been witness to. For example, when there were twin towers that broke down and travel was hit. So it's not the first time that tourism industry has experienced a dip. There has been ample number of times it has experienced a dip, and ample number of times it has stood up in a more fierce way. So this is, I think, probably the time that it is now coming back with more force than before, with more norms, with more, you can say, the policies, the procedures, and the measures, with a lot of vendors like hotels, the car companies, the you can say the travel agencies. They are definitely getting into the digital payments, making sure that that people are vaccinated. You get into biometrics so that there is very less human contact. Travel agencies are getting into e-passports. The tourism ministry is giving free visas to the 5 lakh tourists who would be coming into India till 31st of March. So there's too much going on. With all that happening, I don't see that tourism industry is ever going to turn back and say that, because we were hit, we couldn't stand. So it is an industry which has seen the downfalls over the years, and it is an industry which has always come back, standing on its feet, in a much, much stronger way. Right? Thank you so much for your attention, ma'am. I end my presentation here.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for illuminating our inquisitive minds on such a fascinating topic. Now, I would request the audience present in the meeting to ask their questions, beginning with Kavya Datta.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
My
afternoon.
question for you is, how can we brace and support the tourism industry during the COVID-19 pandemic?
All right, Kavya, a very relevant question and a very important one as well. Well, now COVID-19 pandemic has taught us the new ways to embrace the industry for sure. We can't go back to the normal ones, and it is a harsh reality. So if we say that we have to now move ahead, we have to adopt certain things. For example, the hoteliers and vendors in the tourism industry and travel agencies, airlines, all the visa facility centers, they have understood the importance of technology. Technology plays a very, very big role. You can say by doing something like a mobile check-in, right? Where you don't have to physically present your boarding card, physically get your boarding card and present your ticket. Your digital payments, which have now made a very, very big impact on the Indian economy. Then ordering food via apps, not going physically to restaurants in case you don't feel comfortable, right? Then voice control devices have also come into picture. Basically, all these things put together will make things better and accessible for travelers to travel and do their norms without any inhibitions.
Thank you, ma'am. We will certainly keep these points in mind the next time we plan a vacation. And now, I invite Arushi to put forward her query to ma'am.
So first of all, a very good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
So
afternoon.
as you said that more tourism brings more economic development, but it may lead to over-exploitation of a place such as Himalayas. So what can be done to resolve this issue?
Yes, see, over-exploitation definitely is one of the issues which a lot of tourist spots have faced, not just in India, but in abroad as well, because everybody knows that the population is on a rise. But awareness has to be the key to make sure that over-exploitation doesn't happen, because we have to save the place for future generations as well. It does not need to be depleted now forever. So to save it from exploitation, there need to be certain policies and procedures which the place has to adopt to make sure that the number of tourist arrivals remain to a particular level and does not go beyond that, right? So those policies and procedures need to be adhered to, and they need to be made to make sure that lot of people do not exploit the resources which are present in that particular place. So over exploitation can only be stopped when there are policies, procedures which are laid down, and we as citizens are aware about them and adhere to them, knowing that the place does not belong to us. The place belongs to the future generations as well.
That was such a helpful answer, ma'am. This is really an issue that often goes unnoticed.
Yeah.
Now, we will be having our final question from Dia Samriddhi.
So first of all, a very good afternoon to you, ma'am. My question to you is, what are the employment avenues in travel and tourism?
Well, like I even showed you in the PPT, yes, employment avenues are many. So if we say that, yes, we want to work as a travel agent, yes, you can go there, work as a travel agent. After completing your schooling, there are courses by private institutions which are given. Then you can also do your graduation, your master's in tourism industry to know, to have a more in-depth knowledge about the industry. Also, you can be a certified guide to places of tourist interest, know about them, and obviously make people also aware about them. So some of the direct jobs, you can work in an airline as an executive, or you can work at the airport at the check-in counters. One of the things that definitely is a plus point for tourism industry, that it gives a lot of women empowerment as well. So we as women have a lot of scope in travel and tourism industry, and we are able to exercise it because the timings and everything we are able to manage. So those things, or everything put into picture, the venues for employment are many. Once you try to venture into it, you would see where your expertise is. Once you know your expertise, you would be able to handle those courses or those lines of graduation in which you're interested.
Thank you, ma'am. And with that, we come to an end of this engaging webinar. I am sure many of us would now be encouraged to research further on the available career options in this field. I thank everyone for joining. With this,